I want to read from book 2 of the Cedric series. And I've sort of been sharing a lot of monsters from book 1, but there are so many across the entire series. And book 2 has some very interesting and very specific ones I've cherry picked for interesting things. Like today's monster is going to be the monster of Ravenna. Ravenna is a town in Italy, and during the Dark Ages there was this lore that if you were a man who was unfaithful or was having an affair traveling in or out of Ravenna, beware, your life is forfeit, because the monster Ravenna eats the hearts of unfaithful men. That's one of many variations, but I thought it was interesting because she was sort of a cross between a harpy with wings and needle-like teeth, and then also some Gorgon, like snake lady things going on. She was just described in such a crazy manner that it really makes one wonder, especially since this is probably the most interesting variant of a Gorgon-like creature since Greek mythology, that developed specifically around one town and during the Dark Ages. So of course I had to include her. So without further ado, I'll read you their encounter with Ravenna in the Roma Santa, Father of Werewolves, book 2 from the Cedric series, a great dark fantasy paranormal romance series that I wrote, just in case you didn't know, because reasons. Ravenna. Growling Revenna had taken hold as he looked at the trees. It is the one that calls itself Ravenna, a harlot for corpse eating and stealing. Is that Revenna I hear? A woman's voice called from behind a large tree. What brings you into my territory so suddenly, wolf? It's been a while since we've crossed paths. You've taken something I want. He motioned for Nectimus to hide. May I bargain with you? I am not here to claim your land, Ravenna. Is that so? There was a long moment of silence before the woman spoke again. A bargain, you say? Wings fluttered, and from around the tree she came. She had the head and torso of a voluptuous woman. Her arms were replaced with magnificent eagle wings, and from the waist down she had the body of a snake. From her forehead, a horn curved upward like that of an antelope. She glided over to meet Revenna. Grinning, she revealed the thin, needle-like teeth that her elegant lips kept secret. The blue in her eyes was entrancing as her long, dark hair fell about her elegant face. Why, this is an interesting change in appearance, she hissed her greeting as she settled on the ground in front of him. What do I have that you would want? I have nothing, you silly demon. You have a meal behind the tree, a man named Boreas. I need to recover what's left of him for my own wants. Grunting, he could see Nectimus was working his way to it. What do you want from me so that I may have it? Chortling, she stretched her wings wide, moving herself closer to him. It was hard for him not to snarl or look disgusted by her. She had never been a monster to trust, and she had the reputation of being a scavenger of evil men's corpses. It was natural for her to be here, where so many caring, corrupted hearts had been slain. Slithering around him, he did not flinch as he knew Nectimus was grabbing the body. She was marveling over this newer version of Revenna, excited to see he had taken on a more humanistic form. She leaned against him, whispering into his ears as her bare breast rubbed against him. I would love to make love to you now that you can take the form of a man. He said nothing as his muscles grew taut. Slithering around his waist, she leaned into the other ear, rubbing herself against him. As a wolf, I never cared to take interest, but even in this form, you intrigue me, Venra. How many women have you dominated since your curse? Did their lustful screams satisfy your desires? Closing his eyes, he huffed at her, his ears flattening. Since when does the great Venra run out of words to bark at me with? The venomous grin on her face teased him further. If you want the body so badly, this should be a simple task. No. Venra's ears pricked forward as a distant howl echoed through the trees. Nectimus had claimed Boreas's body and was already halfway back to the camp with it. So I'll leave it there. So you guys get to wonder whether or not the wolf god of destruction in werewolf form hooks up with crazy Gorgon lady. I'm not telling you anything. Who do you think I am? But no, that's one of many sort of more vocal villain characters start to come into play a lot in book 2. And it's not necessarily that they're villains, but it's the whole idea that these are gods, deities, forgotten gods and deities, demigods, and creatures of old. And Roma Santa tends to interact with them more often than Cedric ever did.